So the last couple of months, I'll say, God has been bringing me through a series of events that at first glance I thought was warfare. Now he has given me deeper revelation. This is why you got to vent to your Father. Before anyone else, you have to vent and give your concerns, your questions, the things that don't make sense, the heartache, everything. Give it to God first. He will give you true revelation. And now I know that he was walking me through a spiritual lesson and building Christ-like character. And that is not easy. And I think I'm understanding that a part of the difficulty of a believer, of being a believer, that makes it hard being in the world but not of the world, is that the moral code of the world is completely opposite to the moral code of God. The moral code of the world is filtered through the flesh. And as believers, we have to die to the flesh daily. And that doesn't always feel good. It's rarely easy. But your obedience is rewarded. And when you come to a deeper understanding of how many souls, how many ministries, how many children, I can say as a mom, are relying on your obedience. Yes, I dragged my feet, but you do it anyway. You do it anyway. Because when you've been rebuked for disobedience, you try to avoid it at all costs, okay? I dragged my feet, I moved in obedience, and Holy Spirit's not always going to reveal nice things. That also doesn't feel good. It's easy or naturally to receive the positive, the loving, the kind revelations from Holy Spirit. But when it's not so kind, when it's disappointing, when it's discouraging, it doesn't always land nice. It doesn't always feel good. But we have to be in a space that we can receive both. So I vented, I asked the questions, and yesterday and today he answered. And I wasn't in the book of Matthew, but he led me to Matthew. And this is chapter 12, right? Starting at 46. And he said this, while he was still speaking to the multitudes, behold, his mother and brothers were standing outside, seeking to speak to him. And someone said to him, behold, your mother and your brothers are standing outside, seeking to speak to you. But he answered, right, this is Jesus, he answered to the one who was telling him and said, who is my mother? And who are my brothers? And stretching out his hand toward his disciples, he said, behold, my mother and my brothers. For whoever, he said, behold, my mother and my brothers. And he's pointing to his disciples. And in verse 50, he says, for whoever does the will of my Father who is in heaven, he is my brother and sister and mother. And many times, it will be the ones that are closest that you will not be received by or understood. And it was comforting. It was comforting. this morning, he led me to Luke 6:28. And it goes, right? It goes. I won't read all of it, but it goes, right? And this is this is why the character building in you through the filter of Christ is not easy, right? So starting at 28, he said, bless those who curse you. Pray for those who mistreat you. Whoever hits you on the cheek, offer him the other also. And whoever takes away your coat, do not withhold your shirt from him. Give to everyone who asks of you, and whoever takes away what is yours, do not demand it back. And just as you want people to treat you, treat them in the same way. And if you love those who love you, what credit is that to you? For even sinners love those who love them. And if you do good to those who do good to you, what credit is that to you? For even sinners do the same. And if you lend to those from whom you expect to receive, what credit is that to you? Even sinners lend to sinners in order to receive back the same amount. But love your enemies and do good and lend, expecting nothing in return. And your reward will be great. But listen to this. And you will be sons of the Most High, for he himself is kind to ungrateful and evil men. Many times we see, when people are mistreated, we see a lot in social media, that they withdraw, they isolate, and they say, you know what? I see you, noted. This, right? That's what the world does. That's when you're filtering it through the flesh. And I desire to encourage others who are growing in their walk with Christ, and their circles don't look the same. They're shrinking significantly. They're shocked by the response from others. It is not of flesh and blood, but it is of the Spirit. I didn't understand the reason for my obedience until that revelation. Many times we put an expectancy on dynamics and relationships in our lives with a fleshly and an innocent expectation that this really shouldn't be how it is. And it will be. For many of us, it will be. The pruning, the examining of our hearts, the revelations of the world around us, the people around us, are not always going to be good. They're not always going to be nice. But he will bring you the mother, the father, the brother, the sister. It just might look different. Many times it will look different. The worldly lens of family, it may shift. And that is okay. Do not isolate. Do not treat the way you've been received. Love anyway, so that you can be a son and daughter of the Most High, because that's what matters.